There was a lot to like about Karl Anthony Towns' performance last night. For one, the counting stats just in general were awesome. 44 points and 13 rebounds. The efficiency was great, 17 of 25 from the field and 4 of 5 on threes. You love picking up a win. You love picking up a win coming off a bounce back, to bounce back off the loss at home to Cleveland. You love picking up a road win in Miami. I also thought it was incredibly impressive that Towns did all this, not just against Jimmy Butler, but against Bam Adebayo, one of the best defensive centers in the NBA. But I think my biggest takeaway from this game is that, it's not a hot take to say that Towns has struggled through his first 3 games in New York. Just 15 points a night on only 9 field goal attempts a night. Just 6 total 3-point attempts, 2 a game. Against Cleveland, he scored 10 points on 8 shots. It is very clear that the Knicks are struggling and adjusting to figure out how to use Towns, and Towns is struggling to figure out where he fits in all of this. So to see him come out with this incredible performance, this isn't just he had 25, 44 points. Oh my goodness. And I think what was so beautiful about it was that it was a very clear combination of the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau doing more to get him involved. There were a lot more post touches, a lot more concerted efforts to get him the ball in the mid post, high post, in all those areas. But what I also liked is that Towns, I think, took it upon himself in certain areas to be more aggressive in looking for a shot. There were a lot of really great aggressive drives to the basket that resulted in buckets. And I think, Towns, one of his best traits is that he has one of the quickest jump shots in the NBA, one of the quickest triggers. And he really used that last night en route to hitting those 4 3-pointers. He could just get off so quickly, and he did. And I think this game, it's such an ultimate testament to the idea of this is going to take time. This is going to take time for the Knicks and Towns to figure out how to get the best out of each other. And the reason it's going to take time is because, when the Knicks acquired Towns, they didn't just acquire a great player. And the old saying about how, integrating great players is always going to take time because they require so many touches and there's such big focal points of the offense, all that stuff. But it's not even just that. It's that by acquiring Towns, the Knicks are fundamentally changing the way they play basketball. They didn't just replace Isaiah Hartenstein and, I guess to a lesser extent, Mitchell Robinson with another rim running, interior based big man who's just not as good at what those guys do. No, they acquired a 5-out sniper who could also score on his own off the dribble, in the high post. That just fundamentally changes the way they play basketball. Going from an interior pick and roll guy to a 5-out guy who can give you 20, or I guess in this case, give you 44 points. That's just very different. It's not easy to just adjust to that. It's not easy to adjust to that, especially when you acquire that guy 2 or 3 days before training camp started. So it's going to take some time. There are going to be highs like this game where he scores 44 points, and there are probably going to be lows against Cleveland when he scored 10. But I think the encouraging thing is that this type of performance exists in Towns, and it also sort of gives you the blueprint and the vision for what this could be like in New York, because New York's offense as a whole last night was incredible in beating Miami, and they just got up so many more threes and passed the ball so much more, which were 2 things that they didn't do against Cleveland. And Towns was such a big part of that, being a stretch 5, one of the best, probably the best stretch 5 in the NBA today. I don't know about all time, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But just, you see the blueprint, and so to see this encouraging sign from Cat and from the Knicks, I think was a welcome sight for Knicks fans like me coming off the game against Cleveland, where you really just felt like Towns didn't know where to be and the Knicks didn't know where to use him. And so to see this game, it's okay, this is gonna work. This is the potential, this is the vision, but it's going to take time.